for being in attendance. I really appreciate everybody for being in attendance, especially those students that are nominated. I'd like to ask all of those students that were nominated, go ahead and please stand up so that we can see who you are. Every year during National Student Employment Appreciation Week, we hold a luncheon to show appreciation to those students who were nominated. Nomination period usually begins end of February, early March, and usually ends mid-March or the end of March, and that's when supervisors have the opportunity to submit nominations for their work studies, and they pretty much tell us exactly why they believe their student should be honored for Work Study of the Year or Student Employee of the Year. So those who stood up were nominated by their supervisors. Their supervisors are also in attendance with them as well. Now, I would like to go ahead and just introduce Director of Student Financial Services, Elaine Rivera.
Good morning, well I guess, or good afternoon. I'm very happy to be here. This is really a special occasion every year because we get an opportunity to recognize our outstanding UTPA student workers, and I know we have lots and lots of them. So to all of you student workers, I would like to thank you very much for your service. We couldn't do what we do here at the university without you, so you are very, very important to us. I would like to introduce Dr. Maggie Hinojosa, Senior Associate Vice President for Enrollment Services. Dr. Hinojosa oversees several offices here at the university, including admissions and undergraduate recruitment, financial aid, the scholarship office, the registrar's office, and she herself was a student worker in the communications department when she was in college. So I think to those of you, she is a wonderful example of why it's so important that you persist and complete your college education. Dr. Hinojosa.
Can you all hear me? Oh yeah, it would be kind of hard not to, right? This is really exciting for me, and Nicole, thank you so much for giving me 30 minutes to speak. The scary part is I probably could do it. So early on, actually when I was in high school, 5 years ago, okay, maybe 10, I was a debate and speech geek, and so we memorized a lot of things so that we could go into any sort of event and be able to just spit a whole bunch of stuff out. But there were a few things that always stayed with me, and one of them was we had a saying that was always remember who you are, where you're going, and where you came from. And I think that's extremely important for our students today to remember that. Now, I come from the north, the big city. I see Richard over there. I grew up in Fremont, Texas. Anybody know where that is? I think that's the north, don't you all? And as Elaine mentioned, I was employed at the institution as an undergrad. I graduated from Texas A&I, which is now Texas A&M Kingsville. But I did both off-campus and on-campus employment. Right out of high school, I ended up with an internship with the Navy on the naval base in Kingsville. And so I would work every summer, every Christmas break, and every, yes, it's gonna kill me, spring break, on base doing accounting. And then during the year, I worked in the communications department at the university. I was a business major, but worked in the communications department because I still was a debater in college. What was extremely important about that, and I hope as students, those of you employed with us, figure out some things. One of the things I figured out working for the Navy in accounting was that I hated accounting. And I still do, right, Michelle? I tell her, just tell me, is it a plus or a minus? I do not care. As long as it's balanced and it's black and not red, we're good. So I hated accounting, changed my major into management because then I could talk all the time, right? As a communications, working in the communications office, I think you'll find this interesting, is I figured out I liked software and that I could pick up, back then, we didn't have a lot of software. Yes, we had computers, okay? Not so dinosaur age, but you know, email was really just coming about. And as a student employee, I was asked to do the newsletter for the communications department. Had never done anything like that before, sat there and learned it on my own and figured out that, you know, I like the technology aspect, and later on in my career, I think that has served me very well. But it was my experiences, those two in particular as a student, who I think really shaped who I am today and helped guide me in decision-making schools, so in those decision-making skills. And so as a student, wherever you may be working, if you figure out this is not what I want to do the rest of my life, that is actually a very good thing, especially if you work in Richard Trevino's area. Just kidding. So, you know, some important things about being a student employee. It's because he does things like text me in a meeting and my phone goes off, so I have an opportunity to pick on him, and I will today. The importance of not just learning academically what it is you want to do, but professionally. What is it when I'm sitting in class? Where is this particular major going to take me? My experience as an employee of the institution, because that's exactly what you are. We value your employment just as much as we value that of our full-time employees. One of the great things, and it amazes me when Elaine and Nicole begin to tell me about the number of students who receive in particular work study and who do not take advantage of it. Because first of all, in a way, we work for you. We understand that school is priority number one. And so we work around your schedule. I will tell you that yes, we try at times, you know, to hire students who have a particular set of courses for that semester, but guess what happens? It changes the next semester. And we don't want to lose you, so we work around your schedule. A lot of times you have an exam and you need to take off, you can do that. That is not something that you can do off campus. I actually, when I worked for the Navy one semester, they offered that I work for them during the semester, so I did not work in the communications department. It was the worst decision I had made because I was stuck. And there wasn't this, I need to study for an exam when I go, which is extremely different than what you have when you work on campus. So if you have friends who, you know, receive an award and just don't accept it, you know, there are some true benefits to that. Of course, you have more interactions with faculty, staff, administrators. Two extremely important things, references. When you graduate, you get to put on your resume that you worked, and when you fill out that employment application and they ask you for references, you will have some. And then one that I love to this day, you know, I was in a meeting this week with the college board, and they went around the table and asked everybody, and it was higher ed and secondary ed individuals, you know, how did you get to where you are today? In the higher education field, more than half of the individuals there had started in higher education by having some sort of on-campus job, whether it was giving tours, whether it was through orientation, whether it was in the communications department. And with that said, if you were to stay an employee of UTPA or the state of Texas, your employment as a student in the state of Texas counts towards your longevity. So when you're wanting to take vacation, like I was looking at, Martha, I need to send you an email about that, you actually earn more leave because it counts towards your state employment. You decide to become a teacher, you decide to work for the state in some other field, always keep that in mind. We keep the records, HR will send it off, and you get to count that, and it's great. Alec Burney, don't ask me who he is, I have no clue, said that it is possible to store the mind with 1 million facts and still be entirely uneducated. So with that said, I'm going to give you some facts. As to the importance to employment, not just for our students, but UTPA and the Rio Grande Valley. I think we all know, sitting around these tables, that the Hispanic population, the Latino population, is the fastest growing population in the country. The Texas Comptroller's Office said that by 2020, Hispanics will outpace whites. In fact, by 2040, we will triple from 5.9 million to 17.2 million in the state. So why is that important? Well, as our population grows, unfortunately, our higher education enrollment and our graduation rates for this population has not been keeping pace. And we need to do something about that. And when you're at an institution at like UTPA, where in the fall of 2011, 90% of our students were Hispanic, it is something that we value and something that we continue to strive not just to educate, but to ensure that our students graduate. In 2009, the Pew Research Center did a study, and they found out when they surveyed Latinos across the country that 89% of them intended to go to college. But only 48% of them said that they would actually get a college education. And what do you think was the #1 reason why they would not attain a college education? Because they have to work. And so again, when we know that 90% of our student population is faced with the fact that they have some financial pressures at home, it is important for us to ensure that we employ our students. At any one point in time, we can have about 1,000 students employed, whether it's through work study or direct wage. Our students who are employed have higher retention rates and higher graduation rates than our students who do not. And because of this, and because I can tell you, working in a financial aid office, working in a registrar's office, working in an admissions office, that there is no way we could do our jobs if it wasn't for you. We continually ask for more money, or Dr. Ganthu has to stand in front of the President's cabinet. We do, because we feel that, the federal government only gives us a certain amount. And on top of that, we have a gap. We have students who qualify, and then we have students who maybe don't necessarily need it, but we have a huge number of students who don't qualify and need to have some sort of employment. And we want to be able to offer that. The other thing that is happening is under the direction of Dr. Ganthu and Mr. Marty Baylor, a student employment office is in the works. I think we're actually hiring folks. And we want to do a much better job on this campus of how we hire our students, where our students work, how we track our students, but to also give you that feeling of how is it to fill out an application and go through the true process of being employed. And I just want to leave you with one thing. First of all, thank you so much for what you do. From the bottom of all our hearts, I can't stress that enough. But I'll leave you with these three, okay? And that's to that there are three kinds of people. Some folks have heard me say this, but I live and die by this. Those who watch things happen, those who make things happen, and those who wonder what in the world happened. Those of you in here today make things happen. Thank you so much, and enjoy your